We begin with an update on a mass shooting in Bryan, northwest of College Station. Police say the suspected gunman is now in custody. The Bryan police chief confirming one person was killed and 6 others were sent to a hospital.
5 were shot, with 4 said to have had life-threatening injuries. A 6th person also transported with an asthma issue. DPS also tweeted that a trooper was shot while pursuing an individual suspected of being involved in the shooting, saying he remains in serious but stable condition. It's unknown if the trooper is among the 5 wounded. In reports just into our newsroom that the suspect was also shot and is now in stable condition. The shooting started around 2:30 this afternoon at a cabinet manufacturing business. The police chief says the gunman worked at the business. A motive for the shooting has not been released.
The shooting in Bryan comes after a string of mass shootings, including in Georgia, Colorado, and South Carolina, and just hours after President Biden unveiled his efforts to curb gun violence. The president laid out a series of executive actions, including ordering the Justice Department to draft red flag legislation that states can model to keep guns out of the hands of people facing mental health issues. The department will also have 30 days to create new rules addressing ghost guns. Those are self-assembled guns that don't require a serial number. President Biden also wants a 60-day review of how stabilizing braces for pistols are regulated. The president also calling on Congress to pass an assault weapons ban.